Hey guys, thought I might do something a little bit different this week. What I have here is the 2016 MacBook Pro with touch bar. This is the 15-inch. After having used it for a week now, I think it's about time I let you know if it's good or not. So there's a couple of new things about it. Actually, there's quite a bunch of new things. First off, the Apple logo no longer lights up, which I thought was kind of sad. So now you end up with this mirrored finish, which might be very prone to fingerprints. Yes, it is. When you put your finger on it, it kind of looks like a Touch ID thing. Not that it was a very catastrophic change, but some people are going to miss it. I know I'm definitely going to miss it. There's also a new look to this guy, not a major change from last year's or the years before. It still has that unibody shape thing. What it has gotten is it has gotten thinner. The footprint has also gotten smaller. And all around it's kind of sharper for some reason. If you look at the back here, they have removed the plastic bar, the black bar that used to be in the previous MacBook Pro. It's now literally machined out of one block of aluminium. Even though you're not an Apple fan, you kind of got to admit that the unibody metal construction of the MacBook Pro puts almost every other laptop looking like it's very cheap because it's plastic and all. I was considering between this and the Dell XPS 15, and one of the deal breakers with the XPS 15 was that the construction quality of their laptops. With the Apple one, everything is solid. You can really feel the sturdiness of the machine. This is one thing that I think Apple got right, the tension on the hinge and the weight ratio between the screen and the base. You can lift up the screen with just one finger. You can't do that with the XPS 15 or the 13. I actually went down to the store to try it out. Yeah, that's kind of a deal breaker for me. Having it thinner is definitely kind of cool. I'm not so sure whether it was actually necessary. Shaving a bit of weight on this guy, especially when I'm carrying it out all day, is kind of nice. That's kind of about everything on the outside. The air vents, you have the rubber shield. All in all, it kind of looks the same as the previous year's MacBook Pros. Not much there. Onto the inside. On the inside, they have what they say is an improved screen. Nice updates to the bezels. You have a new keyboard. Touch bar is definitely new. The trackpad's new. The speakers also new. Hello! I have this mail notification that says I'm lonely, and I'm just going to remove that before anybody thinks otherwise. I'm not a big sucker for like fancy tech specifications and stuff like that, but this screen is definitely one of the best screens that I've seen in a while. Very nice to work with, especially when I'm outdoors. Even when I'm outdoors, like under the sun, I don't really need to have it at max brightness. Apple says that it's brighter and supports a new color gamut or something like that. The colors look much better on this guy, but at some point I do have to get it calibrated anyway. So, hello! How come you're in here? Oh, no, don't on the fan. Why are you on the fan? I'm recording audio while you're on the fan.
I'm very quiet. Go.
The wife is just going to sit there. Here you have the new Generation 2 butterfly switches on the keyboard. These took a little bit of getting used to, but I can safely say that they are better than the first generation butterfly switches. They have just a little bit more travel. The ends of the keys are a little bit tapered upwards as well, so that kind of gives you a slightly better tactile feel when you're typing. I started with this ancient of a keyboard which had a key travel of what seemed to be a skyscraper compared to this guy. And it has been getting smaller and smaller ever since. This is kind of like typing on an iPad, just that you can actually feel the keys and everything is kind of in... If you're very good at typing, you should be very happy with this guy, I feel. I was using this for a couple of days, and then when I came back to the chiclet keys of this guy, kind of screwed me up there a little bit. The new trackpad, and this trackpad is huge. I mean, look at this. My hand, you can... No, let me use... This is my iPhone 7. Oh boy. This is my iPhone 7 Plus. It's bigger than that. I mean, come on. Having the larger surface trackpad definitely reduces your need to, constantly repeat the motion just to get the arrow from corner to corner. It also has a palm rejection thing, so when you're typing on the keyboard, when your palms are resting on the trackpad, it kind of disregards that, or so they say. Not that I have been having any major issues with it, but sometimes once in a while the mouse does move when I'm typing. It either probably needs to be fixed or maybe I just need to get used to it. And then the show of the day, the new touch bar. What I understand from this guy is that it functions as a second display to the screen, although it doesn't register as a second display. It hooks up via USB inside, and then on the side here, this is my favorite feature. This is the Touch ID. This is the power button and the Touch ID. So with one finger now, I can just log in, which is kind of cool. The speakers on this laptop, you see the speaker grills on this side. These are actually aesthetic. There's actually no speaker up here. The speakers are actually like somewhere here or probably down here. Especially if, let's say you're playing a video and you're holding it like this, you can literally tell that the audio is coming from the bottom end of the laptop. The touch bar is also contextual, which kind of means that with every program that you use, it will display a different set of commands. Not many programs actually have the chance to fully utilize the touch bar yet. I've seen a lot of potential with it, especially with the Apple apps, knowing as, you know, they had some time to work on it. Photoshop also updated this morning. As I'm recording this right now, I'm updating Photoshop on this guy. But there's a couple of arguments with the touch bar. There's basically two camps. One is if you find it useful, and the other one who thinks they are gimmick. For me, I'm kind of in the middle. It's nice to have. If I didn't have it, I would still probably use the Mac just any way that I use it. One thing that's also notable is that the touch bar has a matte finish on top of it, which kind of begs the question as to why Apple doesn't have a matte option for their screen anymore. The main gripe I have is having to see like a 20% opacity of myself staring back at me when I'm working all the time. And have you used a gloss screen outdoors? That's just not any good. What you also have on the right side are a set of 4 keys that are always there. The default comes in brightness, the volume, mute, and a Siri button. I don't see myself using Siri as much, so I have it on a lock button. Some people have it on a spotlight button. I'm just very used to having command space as my spotlights. The rationale for having a lock button there is so that I can lock my screen if I need to step away without having the machine actually going to sleep. With the brightness and volume keys, I've seen a lot of people having to do a 2-step thing. That's to bring up the slider and then slide it. You can actually just do it with just one press. Following what Apple has always been doing with their one-click solutions to their menu bars, you still can do a one-touch on the touch bar. One thing about the touch bar is also how to make it useful in a way that supersedes the shortcut keys. For a person like me who uses Macs all the time, I have almost every shortcut key that I need to use at my fingertips. Having a button on the touch bar that does the same thing as I could with a shortcut key, probably not the most useful way of using the touch bar. But all in all, I don't think we have actually seen any application that can use the touch bar to its fullest potential yet. Quite interested to see what the developers might come up with. That would be interesting. And if you haven't already realized by now, there are only a couple of ports on this MacBook Pro. There is a headphone port on the right side, followed by 2 USB-C ports. And on the left side, you have another 2 USB-C ports, so that makes a total of 4. And here's kind of the thing. USB-C is the future, but the world is not ready to embrace USB-C yet. It's kind of like 4K or HD back in the days. These dongles, however, these are the only ones that I got so far. There are more on the way. Well, they are definitely not the best looking dongles in the world, but I mean, for now, using these dongles, they are pretty okay. I don't see them as a major chore. As long as you remember to put them in your bag every time you need it. But if you think about it, a couple of years down the road, when every laptop has a USB-C port and every phone has a USB-C port, that kind of makes life a lot easier, because with just one reversible port that can do almost anything, instead of having tons of connectors on your laptop all the time. One thing about that, a month before this was released, Apple did release the iPhone 7. So I have here the iPhone 7 Plus. What is rocking is not the USB-C port, it's still the Lightning port. Which kind of begs the question if the iPhone department is talking to the Mac department and vice versa, because there seems to be a war in a way. It would make a lot more sense in terms of the Apple ecosystem if the iPhone 7 actually came with a USB-C port. Then yeah, we kind of see where you're going with the whole unifying of the devices and ecosystem and stuff like that. I do have 2 major gripes about the new MacBook Pro. One is the removal of the Magsafe charging port. Initially, it did seem like a very mentally unsound decision on the part of Apple. But looking at what USB-C might be able to do to the future of laptops and phones, I won't say that we had to give it up. I'm just kind of thinking if there was a way to incorporate the Magsafe technology into a USB-C port. The other gripe is not having an SD card slot on the side of the MacBook Pro. Initially, I didn't think too much about that because I've always been editing on my Mac Pro and using an external adapter for that. Until I actually started editing on this guy with SD cards on almost all my cameras. I have SD cards on the 5D, on the GoPro, on the drones, and many other devices. Not having an integrated SD card slot kind of bumps the process a little bit. I'm just thinking it couldn't be that difficult to save it, could it? All in all, if you're looking for a completely different machine with the 2016 MacBook Pro, I think you might be a little bit disappointed. The SSD performance on this guy is through the roof, the best we've ever seen. The battery life on this guy is kind of comparable with the previous version MacBook Pro, which is not much of an improvement. Performance on this guy didn't feel as much of an improvement as it was advertised. It kind of felt like the same performance with the older MacBook Pros. What I'm very interested to see is if this GPU does screw up sometime along the way. I had all my GPUs screw up on me at some point in time. I'm not sure if there's a quality control issue, maybe it's a user problem, but yeah, I do get Apple Care for all my machines. 1 year just doesn't seem to cover it much. In fact, 3 years doesn't seem to cover it as much as it could. If you remember, I did have to just send in my Mac Pro of 5 years into the Apple Store to replace both the power supply and the backplane port. That was tough without Apple Care. Is the 2016 MacBook Pro worth the price that is being sold right now? Maybe not. I'm definitely sure that this laptop is overpriced, for sure. The reason for my purchases of Apple products is down to a couple of reasons, and it's not because I'm an Apple fanboy. I really like Apple's build quality in their products. All of their products always come feeling very solid. When you have one company controlling the hardware and the software of a single product, you are able to have them work together synonymously without having too many problems. I'm not saying that it's the best laptop out there in terms of specification, it's definitely not, but Macs are the machines that give me the least problems, and that's kind of what I need in my workflow. This machine kind of set me back about slightly more than 4 grand with Apple Care, so that's quite a pinch. But a couple of main reasons you would probably have to upgrading to this laptop is: one, if you have too much money to burn, in which case I would like to have some. Two is I am upgrading to this laptop from this ancient monster. This is the mid-2008 MacBook Pro, the one with all the fancy ports on each side. This guy even has a Kensington port, which I have never once in my life used it. Or seen it used for that matter. So yeah, unless you're like me who is in dire need of an upgrade to its mobile solution, you could probably wait it out until a time when USB-C is more widely adopted. I'm definitely an early adopter. I'm going to have to survive with dongles for a while. So that's kind of it. This is actually my first time doing a tech review in this format. Just a fun fact, everything that is of a talking head is recorded with the GoPro that I usually use. Everything else was shot with my iPhone 7s in 4K downres to HD for viewing on YouTube. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. If you have not already subscribed, there's a red button down here, I think it's here or here, that needs some love. But thanks for watching, I'll see you later.